We find that we don't need to submit a position paper, Mr. Chairman, because the provisions per se really supports or will correct whatever deficiencies we have under Republic Act 4136. So the consolidated bill, whether it's just Metro Manila or all major urban centers in the Philippines, would be affected with the passage of the law. We fully support either of these bills, Mr. Chairman.
Is anyone aware of a country which has the same law or practice? That before a citizen or a person is allowed to purchase a vehicle, he must prove that he has a parking space for the vehicle to be purchased. Just in case, you know, if none, we will not force. Yes, Director Almora.
They mentioned Taiwan, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Taiwan. So we will just, at least, thank you for giving us the name of the country or of the place. Then we will just double check. Yes, Director Kagatan.
Sir, we have Japanese here. They say they have that kind of policy.
Why do we have Japanese guests, Director Kagatan? The automobile, okay. Observer.
From our information and research, Mr. Chair, is Japan and India who has, or some parts of India who has this type of requirement before you purchase a vehicle. And fortunately, we have some Japanese guests who are willing to attest that indeed this type of requirement is mandatory prior to the purchase of any vehicles.
So I think from the vehicle owners, we have here Ma'am Miss Padla. Yes, ma'am. Sige po. Concerned citizen.
How do you? Okay. Hello. Good morning, Mr. Chair. I'm a concerned citizen, and it has been observed for many years since the MMDA's UVVRP, or number coding, was introduced in 1996. It's supposed to reduce the volume. VVRP is Vehicle Volume Reduction Program. But it seems that the vehicles increased. And you know why? Because everybody purchased the second car to circumvent the number coding. So we buy good for Monday, for Tuesday, etc. It's a reality because nobody wants to ride the public vehicle. But what happened? The barangay, even if it's a gated barangay, it became a big parking lot because of the concept of one-side parking, no? One-side parking, bumper to bumper. So in other words, the driveways are constricted too. It's so hard to maneuver because we only have 6-meter roads. Okay? And because of that, the local government, kung malakas yung barangay chairman sa mayor, hihingi yan ng one-way street scheme. So, parang, and we're very near the gate, the village gate, for example. It has been 15 years that we've been going around. So, you enter, you come back near the gate because of the one-way street scheme. And it is, how do you call that, a ripple effect. And that's why the vehicles increased, the volumes increased. So even if you stop number so-and-so along the main highway, they still have the second car. So did they stop? No, the vehicles increased. So we really have to limit, we have to go back to the basic, which is the two Republic Acts, no? We have to put the two Republic Acts together, which is the 4136, the Land Transportation Code. If you buy your vehicle, you're not supposed to make it a street impediment. Common sense. Alam nga naman kung saan-saan ka lang magpapark, no? Binili mo yan. The second is the National Building Code. When you purchase your real property, you're supposed to make your own off-street parking space within that property that you purchased. What's happening now is, para bang jokingly we call, these are squatters already. Vehicle squatting on their side street. Di ba? Vehicle squatting, di mo naman pag-aari na yung lote na yan. Bakit ka nandyan? It became a practice for 15, since the number coding happened. It's a loophole rule. But, you know, we can include more, hindi lang yung band-aid solutions. Nagiging band-aid solutions yung number coding eh. Dumami tuloy ang sasakyan. So, again, tama yung sinabi ni Senator Gatchalian, it's really responsibility. Balik lang tayo sa responsibility at the traffic crisis will really be solved. Kasi holistic approach naman ang kailangan sa traffic crisis eh. It's not just the mass transportation. It's also you go back to the barangay. Barangay level, sad to say, no, our own barangay chairman doesn't have his own parking space. So he violated the two Republic Acts. Pero malakas siya kay Mayor. So, nagpagawa ng one-way street. Paikot-ikot talaga eh. 15 years kami, paikot-ikot. Tapos ang hirap lumabas ng driveway. Yun ang isa. Ang hirap lumabas ng driveway. Kasi nandun sila nakapark. Sasabihin, ba't mo ako pinag-iinitan? Lahat kami nakapark on one side. Sasabihin, ano? Ang hirap I'm a driver, I'm 65. I've been driving since I was 25. Hirap na hirap talaga ako. Yung iba, sabi na sila nahihirapan. But you know what they did? Sinolve nila on their own by, mag-park na rin tayo sa labas. So everybody parked on one side, empty na ang mga carports. Tamad na ipasok kasi hirap din naman. Tapos hindi empty na yung carports nila, ginawa na nilang reception area, garden, another part of the house because their garage is already on the road. Wow, it's really, we really go crazy with this traffic crisis. I think marami tayong makaka-relate because lahat naman tayo, we live in barangays, even if it's gated. We all purchased cars, right? We all purchased our real properties. Eh bakit ganun? Ang gulo-gulo na. Everybody's on the road. That's why, let's go back to the basics of, kung wala ka sasakyan, even registration, not even brand new cars. Kasi ang dali bumili ng second-hand car, excuse me, pipiliin mo lang yung ending, yung number ending.
Mr. Chair, more so, no, aside from the traffic issues that we want to solve, is really more on the disaster response. Yung sunog po, Mr. Chair, for example, nagkaroon po ng sunog sa isang densely populated area. Nakapark po, nakahambalang po lahat ng mga sasakyan doon. Sigurado ho yung bombero hindi makakapasok doon. And I've seen that, we've all seen that many times, no. And again, the intention of the bill is not to curb the purchase of vehicles, but to impose or instill discipline among the buyers of the vehicles. Isipin muna nila kung saan nila ipapark yung sasakyan bago bumili ng sasakyan. Yun po yung intention ng bill. But if you have, let's say, parking space for 50 vehicles, bumili ka ng 50, walang problema ho yun.
Thank you, Mama, for the input. So, if there are no more comments, DOTR is here ba? Unless, Mr. Lavides, you have any comments on the bills?
Yes, good morning, Mr. Chairman and Senator Gatchalian. And well, the Department of Transportation is also is a partner of our LTO and MMDA in the provision of possible solutions in minimizing traffic impact in the roadway in Metro Manila. And nonetheless, in our case, sir, we'd like to just clarify on the coverage of the proposed bill, which will be whether it will be imposed on the public roads or will cover also private or gated like subdivisions, Mr. Chairman, because it's not clearly indicated, I would say, in the proposed by bill on the coverage, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir. I've learned a lot from the inputs of Mrs. Padla. Uh, but now, this is a function or a power of the LGUs, how to regulate the use of local roads, no? And maybe roads within subdivisions. But if you look at 4136, there must be a reason why it is not allowed to park within 6 meters from the intersection of curb lines, within 4 meters of the driveway entrance to a fire station. So, because of the need to have some maneuver space, so turning radius man tawag mo doon, turning radius. Thank you, Architect Abiera. Turning radius. So, siguro the local authorities, if they allow parking, they should take into account yung turning radius naman yung lalabas yung, if they will allow the parking just because it no longer blocks the driveway, but you're really making life difficult for the person driving or moving out of the garage, no? So tama. So there is may essence, may insight from this old law 4136. Okay, but if we are ready to leave the topic, anong gawin natin dito? Okay. So Senator Gatchalian, we will subject to technical working group the three bills, no? On the rates of on ceiling ito, no? The other bill of Senator Gatchalian is to put a ceiling on the amounts that parking lot owners, mall owners can charge for parking. Any inputs on that? Yes, Senator Gatchalian.
Mr. Chair, I just want to also add, no, we included in Section 5 prohibition on invoking waiver of liability. Yung sa regulating the imposition of fees for the use of parking spaces. 1003. And this came about because I've talked to numerous people who have been mugged, who have been na-hold up po sila sa parking area. I remember one instance, a friend of mine na hold up po siya sa loob ng parking area ng isang mall, pero ang sabi ng mall owner sa kanya, basahin mo yung fine print, wala kaming liability dyan, no? And nasa premises po siya nung mall owner, pero wala pong naghugas kamay po yung mall owner nung nagkaroon po ng disgrasya yung kaibigan ko po. So, in this bill, we are putting the liability to the mall owner because they control the premises. They control the premises. They manage the premises. They have absolute jurisdiction over the premises. So, it's not fair naman po na nagbayad ka na ng 50 pesos tapos ma-hold up ka doon at wala kang magagawa, no? So, that is another feature that we included in the bill, Mr. Chair.
Any comments on that? Okay, so we will now leave the subject matter of garage or parking space regulation and subject the said bills to TWG, so we can now report out the said bills. Okay, anong gusto? The warehouse. Let's move on to the Senate Bill number 1908, Philippine Warehouse Receipts Act. By Senator Gatchalian. May opening statement. Okay, Senator Gatchalian, please.
Mr. Chair, this bill, no, on face value sounds like a very complicated bill. In fact, if you read the bill, it's really very technical. But the very simple concept of this, Mr. Chair, is the kedan concept, no? In which yung farmer ho, pag nag-harvest ho siya, pag dinala ho niya sa milling company, bibigyan ho siya ng kedan. Yung kedan na ho is a tradable instrument. So, pwede siyang pumunta sa bangko, humiram po ng working capital, o pwede niya na yung ibenta sa trader po, no? So this is the same concept, no, for this, in which agricultural products such as rice, such as onion, such as garlic will have the same Kedan concept applied to them. So ang maganda ho dito, pag linagay ho, for example po, ako po ay isang onion grower at linagay ko ho sa warehouse yung aking onions, bibigyan na po ako ng warehouse receipts in which I can trade it already. I can sell it, I can use it to loan for to expand my my capacity, or I can trade it to an open market if that market will be created as such on a later date. So, yun po yung simple concept po nito. It's really empowering the farmer to have flexibility in terms of selling or in terms of trading his or her own commodity. So, yun po yung concept niya, Mr. Chair.
Solicits inputs from our resource persons. Wants to go ahead? Yes, Attorney Valencia of the SEC.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Senator, and good morning, everybody. Let me begin, sir, with introducing or explaining the functions of the SEC. Basically, the SEC has two major functions. The first one is it is the sole registry of all business entities. So SEC registers corporations, partnerships, and partnerships. It also has the authority to revoke the registrations of these business entities. The second one is the SEC is the sole regulator, supervisor of the capital market. Covered in this function is the registration and supervision of the securities, the shares of stocks, the bonds, and that's the derivatives actually, so the securities. SEC also registers and supervises the markets in the capital market, so the PSE, Philippine Stock Exchange, and the fixed income market, and other securities and other markets for other securities are also within the jurisdiction of the SEC. So aside from regulating the capital market, the SEC also has that function to develop the capital market. So, well, the third one is the SEC is also a member of the Anti-Money Laundering Council. The chair is the BSP. And then the SEC is the implementer of the Financing Company Act, among others, the Lending Act. The reason I am introducing the function of the SEC is that upon initial perusal of the proposed bill, we see that the work of the bill is very parang far from the functions of the SEC. As I have heard from Senator Gatchalian, the bill is supposed to assist the farmers with regard to their products. So, para sir masyadong malayo, meron tayong Department of Agriculture. And also, sir, we have noted that recently the Congress issued the Land Registration Authority, and it says in that law that it should handle the registration of electronic warehouse. No. It should establish electronic registry for secured transactions. Sir, parang medyo related ito kasi itong warehouse receipts would be also it is also secured transaction. It represents security interest in present product. So, kung i-register, kunyari, mag-pass itong bill na to, warehouse receipts will be registered with the SEC. Pero because it represents a secured transaction or security interest, parang papasok din itong bill na to na baka kailangan i-register din doon. So, madodoble siya eh. And also, sir, sa capability rin ng SEC, it has limited branches or extension offices. Kung we will serve the farmers, farmers are everywhere, parang mahihirapan ng SEC to reach out to them to establish. So,
Attorney, actually the intention of the bill is not for SEC to talk to the farmers, no? That's
Yes, sir.
definitely that's not your responsibility. But the role of the SEC here is to regulate the tradable instrument, no? Because it becomes that instrument becomes a liquid instrument for the farmers to trade or to sell, And that's where the SEC's role will come in, to make sure that those tradable instruments will be regulated and to assure the public that those tradable instruments are also legitimate. No? We're also thinking ahead that we will probably have a market for this type of instruments in the future. We've seen models in Latin America wherein nagkaroon sila ng exchange for various agricultural commodities, no, because of this scheme. But we're open, Mr. Chair, to any feedback from the SEC, from the end users, kung paano po ayusin to. But Attorney, have you gone through the bill? Have you?
Yes po, Senator.
read
We
through
have
the bill?
read the bill.
Okay, and it's really more on the instrument that SEC comes in. No? Yun po yung concept. No?
Ma'am, you enumerated share, securities, etc. Ito bang negotiable warehouse receipt, does it not fall under any of those that you have mentioned?
The securities po under the Securities Regulation Act would represent participation in a business undertaking, mga ventures, ganito. Parang warehouse, ito, underlying ng warehouse receipts is product agad eh. Hindi na siya undertaking, wala ka nang gagawin, product na siya. Whereas ang securities po under the SRC is yung corporations, yung you will give money, invest in undertaking, and people in that undertaking will do something pa. So you will rely on them to make your money grow. Ito kasi warehouse receipts is different, asset na siya agad. So wala na siyang enhancement.
Anybody else? BSP Attorney Prado.
Good morning, Your Honors. Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Senator Gatchalian. The BSP supports the proposed legislation of the strengthening and modernizing warehouse receipt law. The BSP, for its part, has already in place some guidelines to support the use of receipts in credit transactions. Particularly, let me cite an example, is the Agricultural Value Chain Financing Program Framework, as well as the Agro-Industrial Modernization Credit and Financing Program, wherein the warehouse receipt is an acceptable collateral for credit. In fact, in the BSP has also put in additional ceilings for lending bank, additional 10% on top of the 25% single borrower's limit in support of, as long as it is supported by a warehouse receipt. So with respect, Mr. Chairman, with the under Section 40 of the proposed bill, it was proposed that the BSP, along with the permanent members of the Warehouse Accreditation Council, the power to request the Warehouse Accreditation Council to examine the operations of warehouse for purposes of determining that the houses are not engaged in authorized undertaking or activities which are subject to the respective jurisdiction. While we welcome this grant of authority to BSP to initiate or request the council to examine, the BSP need to understand the reason behind. So, since the BSP handles more of the financial institutions, and this warehouse are non-allied in terms of. So, but the BSP will be submitting the official position papers once we have secured the approval. Thank you, Mr.
Anybody else? Yes, Mr. Barrera of Phil Export.
Good morning. We're happy that we're invited to give our private sector view on the warehousing bill. Both chambers, PCCI, I was asked to represent them too, but we have a common positions. PCCI and the Field Exporters Confederation highly support this bill. We see this as the possible breakthrough in trying to break the present stalemate that is between the financial sector of our economy and the production sector, which are the small and medium scale industries, and the agroeconomy, the agribusiness sector, which has been very much neglected in the past. And basically, the situation right now is that the small enterprises, entrepreneurs, and farmers cannot access the funds of the financial sector, mainly because they lack real estate collateral, which is the usual mandatory threshold to be entertained by banks. And this bill will therefore kind of be a substitute to the real estate requirements of banks. In effect, now assets that are in the usual balance sheet, which is finished goods inventory, goods in process, or raw material inventories, when they are documented through a warehouse receipt or certifications of in existence, would become acceptable to banks as a substitute for land, because there are securities involved in this already. And basically, it's going back to the original purposes of banking, especially in Europe, which they used to call merchant banking. Now, merchant banking where the banks would finance trade of merchants. And this was the basis of the resurgence of Europe in the Middle Ages. Now, our banking system used to do this also. We even had a bank before, but it's now gone. It was even called Merchants Bank, I recall in the 60s and 70s. And many banks would do this, trade financing. But with the globalization, etc., of the banking systems also, the Wall Street bankers and, of course, the young people of the Filipinos who went abroad to training University of Chicago, etc., they came home as investment bankers. And so they became basically our big banks converted to what they call unibanking. And their attention got diverted from merchant banking to what? Mergers and acquisitions, deal making, IPOs, all this easy money thing. And if you look at the income of banks, most of their income is not on interest, but on deals, they call it fee-based incomes. So our banks are now really functioning as what Wall Street type of operators. They have therefore neglected the going economy. That now this method of the kind of financing is going to be able to swing back, hopefully. I'm not saying this is the only solution, but I think it's a major solution, a step to back to financing, especially small and medium enterprises, not only agricultural, but small and medium handicraft makers, handbags, and etc., to be able to turn over, get working capital while waiting for the shipments to export abroad or sell the product. So I was thinking what is lacking here is a motivation. We can define a system, but if the banks are not motivated to adopt or hear out applications, then it will go for nothing. So I was thinking that we should possibly have on the repeal portion stress that bank loans or financing that would be utilizing the warehouse receipt system would be deemed in compliance with the requirements of the Agri-Agra law, which mandates that a certain percentage of the lending ability of banks be devoted for the agri-agra purposes of helping agriculture. So they don't, if we linked it up with the agri-agra law, compliance with agri-agra law, then the frozen, not really frozen, but the accumulated money of banks, they're overflowing with cash. They don't know what to do with it, actually. So it would be put into good use and flow back into to the real people in need, which is the agricultural and the SMEs. So that way, they don't have to pay the penalty to the central bank, which they do. I heard the latest annual penalty is about 1.7 trillion. It's about 1.7 trillion a year, which the Bankers Association gathers together and just simply turns over to the central bank. So anyway, so these are our thoughts. That's why we fully support this bill. Thank you.
BSP, Attorney Prado.
If may, I just want to react on the penalties.
Speak into the mic, sir.
On the penalties for agri-agra, the BSP only gets 10% as administrative, but the 90% of the fund will go to the agricultural guarantee and the Philippine crop insurance. So that's the BSP. It only do the administrative side of using only the 10%.
Do you confirm the amount? And
I-
it's in the
I
vicinity
don't-
of 1.7 trillion?
I'm not privy to that figures, Mr. Chair.
Is NCBWOC
Yeah, good morning.
concerned about the, okay,
Yeah.
yes, Attorney
Yes,
Villones.
good morning, Mr. Chair and Senator Gatchalian. While we perceive the beauty of the proposed Senate Bill 1908, which is of course geared towards the enhancement of our economic and agribusiness activity, we at the NAIA Customs Bonded Warehouse Operators Council, an association of CBWs in NAIA, feel that we should not be covered under this Senate bill. Specifically because there is an existing law by entirely in itself, the Customs Modernization and Tariff Act, CMTA, otherwise known as RA 10863. Under this law, the CBWs are exclusively under the jurisdiction of the Bureau of Customs for its establishment, operation, regulation, and control. And to cite some of the relevant provisions here under Section 801, the establishment and supervisions of CBWs are under the strict supervision of the district collector and of course subject to the approval of the Commissioner of Bureau of Customs. And we apply with the customs for approval of the operations of our CBWs. Under Section 805, it defines here our responsibility as the operators, and we have the need to comply with customs requirement on the establishment, security, stability, management, including stock keeping and accounting of goods of the CBWs. And of course, under Section 806, customs control over CBWs, it states here that the Bureau of Customs shall, for customs purposes, exercise control over, direct, and manage CBWs, and likewise all the goods deposited therein. And under Chapters 1 and 2, Title 3 of the CMTA on Customs Jurisdiction and Control, says here that for the effective implementation of this act, the Bureau of Customs exercises jurisdiction over all seas within Philippine territory, coasts, ports, airports, harbors, bays, rivers, inland waters, etc. And then under Section 301, customs control over goods. This means that all goods, including means of transport, entering or leaving the customs territory, regardless of whether duties and taxes to be paid or not, are subject to customs control to ensure compliance of this act. and there are many other provisions here that states that the BOC has the real exclusive jurisdiction and control over CBWs. We manifest that we have already submitted our position paper yesterday, and hard copies were sent today. And the position of NCBWOC is that since CBWs are public bonded warehouses, established, licensed, regulated, supervised, and controlled under the exclusive jurisdiction of the BOC as provided for under CMTA, so we should not be covered under the proposed Senate Bill 1908. And the CBWs is strictly monitored and supervised by Bureau of Customs personnel 24 hours a day. And we accept only cargoes that are subject to importation and exportation. We do not accept items or cargoes for domestic and local storage. And cargoes that enter the CBWs, whether inbound or outbound, are already consigned to specific parties, and as a result, said cargoes are not intended to be used as collateral for any credit facility, and all imported cargoes are filed through electronic entry by accredited service providers, customs brokers, to the Bureau of Customs, and the release of cargo is possible if only the cargoes have been paid for their duties and taxes, and it is registered under the BOC's online release system. And finally, as per the proposed Senate Bill's definition, it states here in the proposed bill, and may I quote under Chapter 1, General Provisions of proposed Senate Bill 1908, Section 3 on the definition of terms, it specifically states that goods, chattels, or merchandise in storage or which is about to be stored, except those that are meant for direct import or export. So we are of the position that we are not covered under the Senate Bill 1908. But then again, we are in complete agreement that the proposed Senate bill is timely and it will enhance our economic and agribusiness activity. Thank you.
Thank you for that input. Anybody else? Yes, Mr. Garabiag of DA.
Sir, good morning, Senator Gatchalian, Mr. Chair. Our office, our agency, the Agricultural Credit Policy Council, fully welcomes and supports the timely proposed bill for a warehouse receipt system. The measure which laid down the provisions for a modernized system, for example, the establishment of a centralized registry system for electronic warehouse receipts, the creation of a warehouse receipts assurance fund, will ultimately benefit the small farmers in terms of increased access to credit from financial institutions. And it has been shown based on experience that small farmers who lack collateral have difficulty accessing loans from financial institutions, especially from banks. And this warehouse receipt scheme, backed by appropriate legislations as laid down in the proposed bill, will be a big help to farmers in securing their borrowing needs. And it will also incentivize the financial institutions to lend more as the warehouse receipt system reduces transaction cost, thereby reducing fees and rates. We only have a recommendation, Mr. Chair, that since the proposal is highly technical and legal in nature, it must ensure that capacity building is in place for the stakeholders, for the information, so that we'll have sufficient knowledge about this proposal. That's all, Your Honor.
Senator Gatchalian.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Garabaig, you mentioned earlier na may benefit to sa farmers. For the benefit of everyone also, Can you explain to us, no, in very simple terms, kung paano po itong bill can benefit the farmers? No? It was presented to us, and upon my analysis, it will indeed, no, help our farmers in terms of increasing their financial purchasing power. No? But from your standpoint, from the DA's, nakita ko nasa policy group kayo, tingin nyo paano makakatulong itong batas na ito sa mga farmers natin?
Kasi sir, right now, yung mga maliliit nating magsasaka, talagang wala silang pang-collateral pag lalapit sila sa, especially sa banks. So itong warehouse receipt system, kung ipapasok nila sa warehouse yung kanilang goods, it will serve as collateral para yung short-term borrowing needs sila ma-meet yung potential na lending institution. So, kaya nga dun sa amin, kasi nag-advocate rin po yung Agricultural Credit Policy Council ng we supervise credit programs, mga collateral free ho yung aming yung aming mga innovative financing schemes. So this is very good scheme na pwede talaga sa small farmers na may pang-collateral na sila para makalapit sa mga lenders.
Ano ba ho nangyayari ngayon sa mga farmers natin since wala silang pang-collateral? Or sabi nga kanina ni Mr. Barrera, no, some of them will have very little or even none, no capacity to give collateral. Anong nangyayari ngayon, and how does it affect the income of the farmers?
Sa side po namin sa Agricultural Credit Policy Council, gumagawa ho kami ng mga innovative financing schemes, like we have a banner credit program under DA, yung Production Loan Easy Access. This is a collateral-free lending program. So yung mga farmers natin makaka-access ng credit. So may government intervention. And meron ho kasing mga collateral substitute din, like yung na nakapaloob dito sa innovative financing scheme na to, like yung may PCIC cover ho, Philippine Crop Insurance cover. So ito yung collateral substitute para sa farmers, para maka-access sila ng credit.
And ngayon, dahil wala nga silang financial capability, it's either they sell their goods prematurely, meaning kung yung presyo hindi pa mataas, basta lang makabenta lang sila, bebenta na nila, or they are at the mercy of the traders, no, na binibili yung goods kahit mababa yung presyo para lang meron na silang pang-ikot na pera. Ganun ba yung nangyayari ho ngayon?
Yes sir, nangyayari po sa ground yan.
I mean, in reality, ganyan ba yung nangyayari po sa mga farmers?
May nangyayari pong ganyan sa Pero hindi naman po lahat kasi yun nga, may ginagawa namang intervention yung ating gobyerno para maka-access sila kahit wala silang collateral. But this bill, this is another way of helping the small farmers.
Kaya nga, small farmers, we're talking about small farmers. Ang lilalagay ba na goods sa warehouse, surplus na yan ang farmer, di ba? Kasi, di ba, ang production ni farmer, bibilhin. Di wala na dapat siyang, so, yun ba yung surplus niya, kaya niya inailagay sa warehouse? Ano bang reality on the ground? Ganun ba yun? Tapos ngayon, kung small farmer siya, ang next question ko, bakit may surplus siya? So, parang baka naman, for the small farmer, pero in reality, wala rin naman siya may deposito sa warehouse na extra goods niya.
Sir, malaking possibility na wala siyang surplus kasi minsan pangkain niya yung pang-consumption yung harvest niya.
Barrera will help us understand that.
Yeah, basically, ang nangyayari is the farmer, so nag-produce nga siya ng palay or mais. Okay. So, behind this bank naman is the rural bank or the government bank, yung postal bank na nagpautang for the fertilizer, seeds, and etc. Nagmamature na rin kasi crop loan ang tawag ng mga ganun crop loan. So natural, pag crop loan, sabi ng mga rural banks or mga postal bank, yung mga agricultural, sabihin, meron ka ng crop, di liquefy mo na. No? Nagmamature na, 3 months, 4 months old na lamang ang maturity ng loan for time to the harvest time. So, the farmer, forsado to really liquefy na yung all of his stock to the big trader who comes around with nakasako-sako na yung cash dala-dala niya, bubulagin siya with the pera with hard cash, liquidity. So the farmer really sells everything. So right now, walang bodega din yung farmer. Okay, that's what we are concerned also in the implementation. That there should be this cadence system or some kind of loans should also be helpful to those farmers who want to construct their own bodega na or have to be accredited and etc. Groups of farmers or co-ops to construct because right now it's hard to also to get money to construct a warehouse. No? So the situation is parang chicken and egg. There's no warehouse for the farmers. So he has to liquefy everything. And there's also the government assistance with maturing loans already on the same day. So they have to liquefy. Natural, law of supply and demand, Eco 1, the price is lowest when the supply is biggest, which is the harvest time, and there are few buyers, only few traders come around. So ganun that's what's happening. So the farmer is always poor. He's only given enough money to survive for the plant again. And the same thing happens again on this next crop and the next crop. Now, and to worsen the situation pa, if there is a disaster or too much rain, etc., the crop things, then tatakutin pa ng bangko. They said, don't file for an insurance yan because if you file, then you are documenting that you could not pay me, the rural bank or the government bank. And then we won't lend you again because you have a bad record already. So, ganon. It is really the farmer is at a corner. So, I think also there should be a bill. I would like to say also to the good senator, maybe another bill maybe on how to reinforce or modernize the PCIC, the insurance system, because yung PCIC, because there are many instances where the farmers have filed their claims, but up to now, 1 year and a half na dumaan and etc., they haven't gotten their damages back, no, or their claims answered. And so, wala nang working capital. They go back to subsistence farming. So, these are the festering issues which usually don't hit the newspapers. Thank you.
Mr. Barrera, I just want to get your confirmation because this bill is empowering the farmers, no? In a sense that it will now give the farmers flexibility on when to sell. No? Timing is very important in selling. And dahil nga sa kagaya ng sinabi nyo, no, na sometimes wala na siyang choice kundi magbenta during the lowest point of pricing, yung kanyang nakukuha o take home masyadong mababa. But with this feature, no, na meron siyang kedan or meron siyang warehouse receipts, now he has the flexibility on when to sell that warehouse receipts. He can wait for a little while, no, and then sell it at the proper time. Is that a feature that you see in this bill?
Yes, Senator. I think this paves the way for that situation to come about later. I foresee that if this facility is institutionalized, okay, or established, the farmers will possibly talk to the millers, the rice millers or the corn millers, which are the next step for to process the post-harvest facilities, to enter into an arrangements of, then it would be called resource sharing, which is actually the practice in the sugar industry. I recall just a few, or 2 weeks ago, there was an article where farmers were objecting to the sale of a sugar mill in Batangas to Robinsons, to the Gokongwei Group, URC Gokongwei Group, by a company, Rojas Compañía, Rojas CCA, no? And apparently the farmers were afraid that their system that they had for decades with Rojas Compañía, which was basically a production sharing or a product sharing, okay, would be disrupted by the new owners, by the Gokongweis. So I got the impression that the farmers, at least under the Rojas Compañía influence, were very happy with the present system they had, which was a 68-32 split. In other words, the farmers would, or planters, sugarcane planters, would deliver to the central, and they would be issued these warehouse receipts. 68% of the production of sugar would be technically already owned. They were owners of 68% of the, let's say, 100 kavans or whatever of sugar in the warehouse. And the central would be paid for the milling service and then, you know, turning it finally to sugar, 32% or 32% of these sacks of what is in there. So there is no negotiation at all about price. There is no kind of adversary position between the sugar central and the farmers, because they had agreed beforehand on the production split. So no matter what the prices would be of sugar, and then when the, of course, the 32% own, the Rojas Company and the Sugar Central would, of course, like to liquefy or sell eventually their X number of sugar, 32%, no? And sasakay na lang yung the farmers also ask the Sugar Central, sama mo na yung aming 68% to your, whatever you're negotiating with your big traders who come around and buy. So in effect, the central and the farmers are on the same side of the tennis court. They're allies, actually. And they leave it to the Sugar Central to negotiate the best prices and the best timing. And of course, the Sugar Central people are more skilled in negotiation. They're maybe Harvard graduates or whatever, mga anak nila. No? So the farmers are able to take advantage of that leveraging, basically. So they're both benefit. And so life goes on. Their only objective, therefore, of the Sugar Center is to produce more, really add more technology and so on. Walang awayan between themselves. And so that's how they managed to live in. And that's what the farmers were worried about when there was going to be a sale of the central. They said, baka the Gokongweis might not think like the Rojas people. So they were kind of objecting to so we could possibly do something like this for rice and corn and other grains, where this would encourage now the processors, which are also in between and hirap din sila, to join up with the farmers and there'll be their own inclusive operation and more vertically integrated, and so there are more economies of scale and etc. So that we foresee this can be the spearhead or the break point to start the ball rolling there. Thank you.
Mr. Barrera, na-mention nyo kanina, no? When the farmers delivers it to the millers, no? The millers immediately issues a kedan, correct? So may hawak-hawak na ngayon yung farmers kung an instrument na pwede niyang ibenta ulit or pwede niyang hawakan and isabay dun sa pagbenta ng millers. Ganun po yung sistema, di ba ho? And that's
right.
And that concept now can be applied to other agricultural commodities.
Yes, yes.
And that is what the intention of the bill, Mr. Chair, that same concept, the concept which has worked for centuries in the sugar industry is now, the proposal is to apply it to other agricultural commodities. Para ho yung farmer may hawak na ho siya at may flexibility siya to go to the bank or to sell to a trader or to wait for the right timing to sell.
Okay, so tama ba ako? It's a negotiable instrument. And then,
Yes.
being a negotiable instrument, is it under BSP, under SEC?
Negotiable instrument should be under SEC. Opo. Pero, Mr. Chair, I would like again to, well, actually, this proposed bill is a great help in the agricultural sector, which is long overdue, actually. We understand that it is long overdue. But the point of the SEC is that looking at this another law, Personal Security Act, which is recently, in August 2018, very new. The point is, the position of the SEC is, it is possible that we should take advantage of or avail of the centralized and nationwide electronic registry that will be established by the Land Registration Authority under this law. Anyway, the purpose of this registry is it's for the registration of notices of security interest and lien in personal property. So this instrument should be registered there. And to point out further, registry should be different from the marketplace. So I think there should be a government agency which is close to agriculture who will be able to handle the security, to implement some prudential measures to make the marketplace secured, secure the integrity of the marketplace. Yes, warehouse receipts are transferable, but the underlying or the purpose of the instruments is very different from the instruments that are participating in the capital market. And as initially I have laid out the functions of the SEC, masyado pong malayo. Pero really, everybody wants to support the agricultural sector, but SEC is not involved in the agricultural sector. For if we are considering the marketplace for these instruments, another agency or maybe not SEC, hindi lang naman po SEC ang nag-supervise ng mga markets. But since for example, I'm not really appointing to Department of Agriculture, but a government agency which is looking into the agriculture will have also the capability to establish a market and supervise it for the trading of warehouse receipts. So,
Anybody else? Then we will now move on to the next topic. Okay, but yes, Senator.
Attorney, sino ang tingin nyo na ang tamang agency who can replace SEC for this matter? Assuming that the committee will acknowledge your feedback. No? Sinong tingin nyo ang tamang agency na pwedeng pumalit sa SEC?
Before I answer that, I will reiterate po, dapat iba yung registry sa market. So for the registry, meron na po tayong Land Registration Authority who is now, I think they will be soon developing developing the centralized and nationwide electronic registry. So doon ang registry ng warehouse receipts. And then kung personally po kung ako tatanungin nyo, I think since the Department of Agriculture ang nag-take care of the farmers at nag-ensure ng interest nila na there will be parang kung saan pwedeng i-trade itong warehouse receipts na to assist the farmers. Kaya po siguro if the bill will support or enable siguro Department of Agriculture kasi sila naman talaga dapat ang Kasi this is really to support the farmers in their business or profession or undertaking.
Attorney, maybe request from SEC to give us your detailed position paper, that because that will radically change some of the major concepts of this bill. So maganda maintindihan ho namin yung logic behind your comments so that we can study it carefully.
Yes po, we will comply, Mr. Senator.
At dahil tinuturo nyo yung DA, ganun na rin po sa DA, no? To give us
May I suggest, Mr. Chair, Your Honor? Kasi may experience ko kasi sa warehouse receipts na agency under DA is, I think, NFA and SRA. They have rich experience in the warehouse receipt.
NFA here, ma'am. If you can react, Ms. Fernandez of NFA. Can we benefit from the experience of the NFA under the old, no? Under the existing warehouse receipts law?
Yeah. Good morning po, Mr. Chair. In 1975, NFA was involved in the Kedan Miller's program, which, however, did not turn out fine kasi we had so many defaulting contractors then. So obviously there was a problem in the implementation and in the dynamics of the industry. Rice is very the dynamics of the rice industry is very much different from sugar and the other commodities. Okay, although under PD4, NFA has the power to issue negotiable instruments, but in the present times we don't issue anymore the negotiable instruments because in the 1980s we transferred it to the Kedan Corps. Kedan Corps was created and the functions were transferred to Kedan Corps, but since Kedan Corps has been dissolved, wala na pong we don't have the Kedan Corps anymore to involved in issuing negotiable instruments. But even doon po sa issuance of the negotiable instruments doon sa mga sa grains industry, hindi po kami we are not very active in that, but we still have the power to do it. Looking at the proposed bill, if it's through your permission, we would like to give our comments. We already submitted this to the Secretariat. We have PD4 as amended by PD number 699 and 1485. We are given the provisions on powers to regulate the following: to issue negotiable warehouse receipts in palay, corn, and other grains, and to register, license, and supervise warehouses, whether banded or not, and mills, and to prescribe and impose, collect fees, charges, and or surcharges in licensing and regulating warehouses and mills involved in grains. Our comment here is that this refers only to the warehouse operators involved in the grains industry. Therefore, whether or not the warehouse operator will accept third-party deposits or they operate as a regular storage warehouse for their own stocks, they will still have to license themselves with the NFA. Okay. However, we are open to the proposal that we get involved in the electronic system because even right now we are also involved in a collaboration with the DOF regarding the trade net, which we are now improving on the electronic system of coming up with issuing of import licenses through the trade net. Yes, sir. So as of today, NFA does not issue warehouse receipts, but we still require all those involved in the grains industry to license their businesses. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. How about you, Mr. Hernandez? Any comments po? Kasi kayo nasa grains industry rin.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and Senator Gatchalian, and to everybody who's present here. So I have heard regarding the Kidan. So I know the scheme regarding that because ang mga farm, usually in the sugar, iba ang setting eh. Kasi in the whole country, ang mga major player are only few. Unlike sa rice po, napakarami, sporadic. And at the same time, iba-iba po ang situation. So, madali makuha ng sugar for the reason, ang nagfa-farming sa sugar, hindi naman mga malilit na farmer, hasyendero eh. So, totoo yung sinabi ni Mr. Barrera na talagang with this bill, ang magbe-benefit yung mga middle, kasi ang farmer tatlong klase, may big time, may middle at saka small time. So, yung may mga excess fund, yun talaga magbe-benefit kasi since I've been reading this Senate Bill 1908 na during harvest, like now nag-start ng harvest, ang price ng palay is 23, 24, wet pa yan. So, by the mid of October, bababa na yan. Kasi as of yesterday, I've been talking to traders. Matumal po ngayon ang bigas. So what will happen, bababa na ang presyo ng palay. So tama ito na kung may extra fund ka as a farmer, lagay ko muna sa bodega, make it as a warehouse receipt, then I will wait at a time na tumaas ang presyo, i-unload natin during the lean months, which is by December, January, February. So, maganda yan, pero this bill would benefit yung mga middle at saka class A na mga farmer na talagang may pondo. At the same time, tama rin yung sinasabi niya scheme na 68-32. Sa owner po ng sugar mill, 32. Pero 68 sa farmer, which is correct kasi in 100 bags of sugar, ang 32 bags mapupunta sa operator ng sugar mill kasi malaki naman ang gasto pag to operate a sugar mill. 68% 68 bags mapupunta sa farm, which is fair naman. So nakikita ko po to, medyo i-fine-tune na would it be how applicable pa sa sugar, pero iba sa bigas po, tama sinabi ni Ma'am Dali na dati ginawa po ito. I also attended that e-commerce sa amin, electronics sa bigas, pero sad to say, medyo hindi that effective. Oo. So, pero with that bill, oo. Isa yan. Ang isa rin na suggestion ko is this. Sa mga small farmer, I think we would also encourage na mag-set sila like other country, yung mga farmers like Europe. Malalakas sila kasi nagkukuhan sila ng cooperative. Ibuohin po yung mga small farmer to strengthen them. Pero sad to say, with the attitude, alam mo naman, talagang it's a failure. Talagang there should be a dedicated na like DA na tulungan talaga ang farmer. Kasi ang farmer, sinasabi namin is the high-risk businessman. Bakit? Ang negosyante like kami, imbak kami ng bigas, lagay namin sa warehouse. Bumagyo, walang problema. Kung masunog, may insurance. Pero ang farmer po, hindi niya alam kailan ang bagyo. Like what happened this Ompong in Cagayan de Oro, in Cagayan Valley, 50% po ang nasira na rice crop. Sa Isabela, mga 30%. Central Luzon, mga 20%. So eventually, based sa kwan namin, it would help, ang isa matutulungan niya yung mga malalaking rice field. Tapos, I think NFA also could help paano gawin yung sinasabi yung houseware receipt. Then, maybe dati naging failure with the new technology, mayroon na tayong internet. So I think pwede ata gawa ng paraan, Mr. Senator. Kasi I'm also positive na eventually some farmers are also looking onto that. Kasi like ngayon, magta-tarification na tayo. Ang sigaw po ng farmer, wag na po natin idahin sa mga ganun, i-direct sana natin ibigay sa farmer. Like for example, inputs, certified seeds, at saka fertilizer. So it could help po. Ayusin lang po, medyo i-upgrade yung system. Halimbawa, nag-failure tayo nung panahon na sinabi ni Ma'am Dali, ano pong mga causes? Then, ngayon po, ayusin. Then, on my part po, kasi ang membro namin ay may trader kami, may farmer, may retailer ng NFA, at the same time, mga tracking. So, I could help po on the outside. Kasi, ibang picture nakikita namin. Sila po nasa loob ng gobyerno, iba rin na picture. Kayo po sa legislation, iba rin. So, I'm here to help anytime. Thank you po.
Thank you. So, anybody else on the Warehouse Receipts Act? Okay, so this is what we're going to do. We are also going to call for a technical working group to discuss this and fine-tune this bill. We hope that DA, SEC, NFA, we're particularly interested in the pitfalls, why the Kidan system failed, why NFA, although you have the power, you don't issue negotiable warehouse receipts as of the moment. So yan, interesado po tayo dyan para para talagang ma-improve ang batas at mayroong saysay po. Sali lang po, the committee secretary will invite the pertinent concerned agencies and groups to also help us. Okay, so we will pursue the idea of the law. Maganda naman po ito. Yes, last word from Mr. Barrera.
Yeah, may I make a suggestion that it's a technical working group. We invite also the BAP, the Bankers Association of the Philippines, because ultimately we expect money to come out from them. Pero kung hindi sila nakasakay in the drawing up the system, and they don't understand or alam mo na, they may not be willing also to participate and lend the money. So wala tayong pinag-usapan. So I think it's very key. And more active participation also from the central bank because you have a big influence on how the Bankers Association would think. Usually kasi our experience is, let's say we go apply to the banks, etc. Usually they point at the central bank as the scapegoat. Oh, no, we cannot lend because it's going contrary to central bank rules. No, doon namamatay yung, they use you really as the alam mo na. Thank you.
Point well taken, sir. We will invite BAP. Ms. Villaviray of the DOF.
Good morning po. Actually, when we drafted this bill, of course we consulted all the stakeholders. So the TWG members is composed of the stakeholders. That includes the banks, rural banks, BAP, all the lenders, because this is an offshoot of the PPSA, Personal Property Security Act. Among the collateral that can be given is the warehouse receipt, and we thought that the warehouse receipt the law is so old and it is not being implemented. It's only the sugar industry that is benefiting out of it because of the Sugar Regulatory Authority. So therefore, we envision to empower the farmers on this. Actually, we are targeting the smallholder farmers and agrarian reform beneficiary because their produce can be put in a warehouse and then that warehouse receipt that will be issued against their produce will be used as collateral for their next season planting. So this is so close to us, Department of Finance, because it is one of the inclusive finance that we would like to give to our people. So actually, it's also for me, it's a personal crusade, because I attend the Presidential Agrarian Reform Council, and the representatives there are looking forward to a warehouse receipt for the farmers. So we know that with the warehouse receipt, we will be empowering the farmers. And so although, of course, the big time farmers will also benefit from this, but this will mean that there will be economic development in the country through additional collateral for the people to have more production and faster production. So if you're going to have a TWG, we know the people who's going to attend this, and we will be coordinating so that more ideas will be crafted. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Ako naman, I make the prediction that if we can establish a trustworthy system, it will work. Yan lang importante. Yan lang po importante. So, yung TWG natin, yun, doon tayo nakatingin. Dapat may trust lang. It's going to work. So, if there is no more, okay, so we will leave the topic. Let's now go to the next Gatchalian bill, Contractors License Law, Senate Bill number 1909. Okay, so Senator Gatchalian.
Very brief lang, Mr. Chair. This proposal really is meant to put foreign contractors on equal footing with the local contractors. And the end and goal here really is to drive down price, bring in new technology that foreign contractors can bring into our country. You know? So with the, I remember last time we had a hearing on the foreign investment negative list, and we invited BCDA to be one of the resource persons. They stated that because of the massive infrastructure buildup of the government, nagkakaroon na ngayon ng shortage in terms of contractors participating in the Build program of the government. So one of the solutions that we are looking at is really to invite more participation in the construction industry. And this is really to achieve, number one, a faster execution of the Build program. Number two, to bring in new technology. And number three, of course, to bring down prices of construction here in our country. So the intention of the bill really is just to put foreign contractors on equal footing with local contractors. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Gatchalian. Any reaction, any inputs? Okay, raising his hand is Mr. Jamaji of the Indian Chamber. Yes, go ahead, sir.
We strongly support this amendment, SBN 1909, amending RA number 4566. We feel that this sector has been neglected in a big way because the PCAB Philippine Contract Accreditation Board, the procedure of accreditation is so tedious and difficult. It makes very difficult for international and even domestic contractors to enter this field and participate and create a more competitive environment. They have to firstly speed up the accreditation process and even allow foreign contractors to participate so that they can give better design solutions, more competitive bids, and definitely in the Build program, the government will definitely achieve better prices, because currently what's happening, there are very few contractors who are AAA. So there is a very little competition. So all the big jobs, the contractors are busy. So when new tenders come out, the bids fail because there is no turn-up of good contractors. And whereas there are genuine contractors who really want to participate and bid for the projects, they are not able to. we really need to speed up the process and allow other contractors to participate and help in helping with the build program. Also, we would appreciate if the accreditation board are made up of more qualified and educated personnel who can really help to approve the real good contractors. And it should be like a one-stop shop where it can be very fast.
Any, yes, those resource persons who have no longer any interest in the remaining items in the agenda are excused to leave now, and with thanks from the committee for attending. Salamat po. Salamat. So we have the PCA. Sino pong una? Sige, Architect Abiera who represents the CIAP.
Yes, sir. Magandang hapon po. Magandang umaga pala, Senator, Mr. Chairman, and Senator Gilchrist. First of all, CIAP will be taking a position. We have a board meeting upcoming very soon, and I defrain from saying anything so that the board can do its part. However, I would like to call my executive director for PICAB itself, and also the executive director of PCA, who would also have important issues on this. Thank you.
Executive Director Matienza. Matienzo.
Good morning, Chairman. Good morning, Senator Gatchalian. Sir, I would like to comment on the statement of Mr. Jamaji regarding the composition of the board, that it should have competent members. Sir, the members of the board are more than competent. Our chairman, Dr. Pericles Dakay, holds a doctorate degree in engineering from the United States. The members are members of the engineering community for, I think, more than 30 years already, sir. They are also part of the construction industry, having their own construction companies operating for at least more than 20 years here in the country, sir. As regards, sir, the bill with regard to the new technologies, being that the foreign contractors may want to bring in the country. Sir, the law allows 100% foreign equity corporations or foreign contractors now, sir, provided, sir, that this technology are new or is of proprietary nature, sir. So there exists no barrier, sir, for these contractors to enter, provided, sir, that this technology are new, as certified by the board or by the procuring agency where this technology will be implemented, sir. As regards, sir, the requirements for obtaining a license, sir, due to the passage, sir, of the ease of doing business law, we are now limiting the processing of these licenses for only 20 days, sir. In fact, sir, this as of this date, sir, we have submitted to our supervising USEC Joel Barba our position as regards the canceling all other documents required for submission of for application of a license, sir, and also fast tracking the process, sir. So it is now with our supervising Undersecretary Joel Barba, and we're just awaiting for its approval, sir.
No, please tell the members of the board not to be too sensitive, because Mr. Jamaji said, he didn't say that they're not competent. He said that he wishes that they be more competent. Competent na, pero more pa.
Yes, sir.
Ganun lang yun. Pero my next question is, current law allows foreign contractors,
yes, sir,
to engage in construction in the Philippines.
Yes, sir.
Private, government.
Yes, sir.
Government also?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Provided, sir, that...
Kaya, basta theoretically, the law allows. They can bid for government projects. Okay. May example po tayo. Sino na nabigyan po?
For example, sir, the project in Cebu Airport, GMR is an Indian company. They obtained a license with us in joint venture with, I think, Megawide, sir. Or
was that joint venture necessary?
It was
By law. Kasi pwede nga nag-joint venture, but was that forced by law that the foreign must enter into a joint with the Filipino?
Sir, they created an incorporated joint venture, sir. So the law requires them to obtain a license, sir.
Kaya nga, yun na nga, so sino majority doon sa incorporated joint venture? Majority, Filipino?
Filipino, sir.
Kaya nga, was that necessary under the law?
Yes, sir.
Na kailangan Filipino?
Yes, sir.
So yun ang tanong ko. So baka hindi pwede nga ang foreigner?
Sir, the foreigner may still, sir, be 100% provided they are a holder of a quadruple A license, sir.
Meron na bang quadruple
Yes,
A
sir.
license?
Since 2015, sir, there is already a quadruple A license, sir. In fact, sir, we now have 3 foreign contractors who has their own quadruple A license, sir.
Meron na?
Yes, sir.
Can you name them?
They are JGC Philippines, sir, Galing Power and Energy Construction Company, and Flor Daniel Incorporated, sir.
If we check at their SEC papers, talagang foreign-owned
Yes,
sila?
sir. Yes,
More,
sir.
na, meaning to say more than 50% ang
Yes,
foreign
sir.
ownership? Ha?
Yes, sir.
Meron na pala eh.
May I request, PCC is already here, no, and they conducted an extensive study regarding the construction industry.
Excuse me muna, si Attorney Agdamag. Excuse me, we will recognize first Mr. Paulino, the Executive Director of PCA, ano to? Philippine Contractors Association.
Thank you,
Private,
Mr. Chairman.
private to. Yes, private. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Senator. As far as PCA is concerned, we are not averse to the entry of foreign contractors, provided they bring with them the investments and the transfer of technology. In fact, most of our contractors are tied up with most of these foreign contractors. Now, with the passage of the quadruple A, about 12 members of us are now classified as quadruple A contractors. 3 from the foreigners, and the others are non-members of PCA. So we are not averse. We welcome them. In fact, most of the projects that we are looking at, we are thinking of tying up with most of these foreign contractors. So that's the position of PCA.
Attorney Agdamag of the PCC. The competition to. Competition Commission.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Senator Gatchalian. Yes, the Philippine Competition Commission is fully supportive of this Senate Bill 1909 filed by the good Senator Gatchalian. In fact, in 2016, as one of its first undertakings, the Philippine Competition Commission intervened as an amicus curiae in the case involving Manila Water Company pending in the Supreme Court. So basically, in that case, the PCC said that certain regulations issued by the PICAB, specifically the IRR for the contractor's license law, may have went the bounds of the said law, considering that RA 4566, or the contractor's license law, does not state a distinction, does not provide for a nationality distinction. Whereas the IRR, specifically section 3.1 thereof, provides for 2 types of licenses. For foreigners, only foreigners can be granted special licenses, and only Filipinos can be granted this regular license. Now, there might be a considerable distinction between these 2 licenses, Your Honors, because regular licenses, sir, they're